The following video is for your entertainment only. Please do not follow the advice of this guy on this video. If you do, you will screw up everything you work on.
Good afternoon. I'm just playing around with the grid dip meter that I got at the ham auction about a week and a half ago. And we're playing around here, but we're not doing too good. Got a bunch of coils here. I don't remember where I got them. Maybe at Jewett City. I have no idea. It's not something I had in stock. According to, watched a lot of videos on using a grid dip meter, and when you measure a coil to find out what the resonance is, it isn't going to resonate unless you put a capacitor across it. And the situation is, first of all, you need to know what the resonance of the capacitor you're going to use on a certain coil. I have no idea. Okay? All I know is this has only got a few turns. It's a single layer coil. I did not make it. And so there would be an inductance of the coil, and with formulas, which I can't do, and math and complicated stuff like that. And then you put a capacitor across it. At that time, then you can find on your grid dip meter the resonance of this. But a coil by itself, I've tried them. I tried a lot of these coils. You don't get a dip at all. As a matter of fact, you get a dip regardless. You get the meter right in the center here so you can see the dip. Matter of fact, it just keeps going down. There is no dip. Well, there's a little bit there, but it don't matter. You can take this coil away and you still get a dip. Okay? And I tried different coils. The only coil I have not tried yet is this one right here. What we've got here on the LC meter, which is a Chinese thing that I bought a few years ago, probably about 3 years ago. It's an LC meter, inductance meter. I'm reading 0.07, but I don't really know 0.07 what of a Henry. It's on the 26 millihenry scale. So it's 0.07. The next one down would be 0, so that's wrong. The next one up would be 0.073. So it's 0.067 now. So it's varying, and it's just hanging on the leads right here. But it is a small inductance, so that's probably why. So we try the highest coil right here, which is nothing but a single loop. And in order to get, and I'm sorry about the handheld, I'm really against handheld, but I have to do this, no choice. Alright, so I got the sensitivity all the way up, because otherwise it goes off scale. Alright. So there's nothing I can do about that. So let's see if there's a resonant here. And I'm going to have to take my word for it. Let me just move the coil up. Alright, we got the coil sitting. You know, it's impossible to stand this up because the cord comes out at this end. I wanted to do a better demonstration, but there's a lot of videos on YouTube about how to use a grid dip meter. And some of the guys are showing that dipping with the coil without the capacitor, it doesn't work for me. But that's nothing new. Things don't work for me anyways, most of the time. So, it's not dipping, so let's go. Well, it's dipping there. Alright, well, let's take the coil away. Alright, the coil is, I took the coil away now. There's nothing there. Take my word for it. Moved it again. Still get a dip. So it doesn't matter whether there's a coil here or not. There is no dip on that. So let's try a larger inductor. All right, this is the one that I had on the LC meter here. Okay. So this might be too high. You're supposed to know what the frequency, approximate resonance of this coil with the capacitor. Because there's no capacitor, you're not going to get resonance, what they call a parallel resonance circuit. Inductor and capacitor in parallel. So the coil isn't going to resonate, in spite of the guys showing on YouTube that it does. It doesn't. I tried it off camera. Does not work that way. So I can bring this up. All right, it's not doing anything, but I'm going to have to put the coil down. Sorry about the movement. We'll try to coil this way, and then we'll try to coil this way. All right? First, we're going to try it this way. All right? I can't get it up any higher than that unless I put it onto something. Hang on, maybe we'll do that. Okay. Now we got it at right angles to the coil, and then we'll turn it afterwards. So let's tune the dial. All right, now you see that dip right there? Okay, now I'm going to move the coil at right angles. Sorry about the movement. Sometimes you have to do it handheld, otherwise it's impossible. I can't do multi-camera shots, impossible to do. So bear with me, please. I normally don't make videos like this. All right, now let's watch this. Now I got the coil the other way. I'm going to take the coil away completely. All right, I'll take the coil away completely. Let's move this. I haven't touched the dial, but I will be now. See that? Still getting a dip. So you cannot get a dip. I just proved it. You cannot get a dip on any coil unless it's got a capacitor so it can resonate. But in order to put a capacitor across any coil, you have to know the inductance, and it takes a mathematical formula, which I can't do, in order to find out what it is. So, all right, let's go to the other extreme. I've already tried this off camera. Here's an oldie but goodie. Before I check it, though, because I got nothing on the meter with this too, let's make sure that this isn't open. So I'll do that off camera, putting the ohm meter across it. Then I'll be right back. Okay, this coil is open. This coil reads 93 ohms DC. So before we do that, let me put it on this thing and see what we get. But it's not really going to tell me anything as to what capacitor to put across it. But let's see if we can get this to dip without a capacitor. I don't think it will. But let me check it. Let me hook it up here. Now this meter has just leads only. Let me get these ohm meters leads out of the way here. We'll hook it up. And we'll turn it on. I don't know why it's jumping all over here, but I don't trust these meters anyways. Doesn't mean anything to me. I've got another magnifier in the house. I should be using it. 6 millihenry scale, 6.73, 1.424, jumping all over the place. So nothing's makes sense. This is why I don't use this. This thing was put off to the side. It never reads right. As far as inductance, capacity, well, I got several meters. It does read capacity. But this thing's all over the place. I can't tell what that is. 2 Henry scale. Okay, well, that's a big inductance. 200 millihenries, 6.9. We're measuring this coil right here. We get this grid dip out of the way here because it might be interfering with that. We don't want that. 6.9, that's more stable now. Maybe that's what was doing it. 6.8, so maybe 6.8 millihenries. Yeah, because if this is well, this don't make sense. This is on the 2 millihenry scale right here where my finger's pointing. But you can see it's 1.4 something. We drop down to the next one. We are, it's hard to see, 26 millihenries, I think, close as I can tell. I'm not using my JVC. I could get a lot closer. So 6.7. Okay, enough of this. So let's say it's 6.7 millihenries. All right. So let's see if we can get a dip on this. We obviously have to remove this here. This is supposed to be the coil to go up to 250 megacycles. So we put that down here. So judging from the, and we'll just drop it there for now. I can't get it in there. I got to get my magnifying glass. Judging from the number of windings on this, I would probably say it's a low frequency coil, 2 to 5 megacycles. So let's try that one. All right. We centered a meter. According to what I've seen on YouTube, the guys usually sensitivity control, usually set them in the middle. It changes with the coil. So you want to couple it like this, or I guess you can couple it like this, but it's easier for me just to couple it like that. And we'll try that range first. If I bring it up to the center, each time I'm turning the dial left here, I'd have to look on the dial to see what the frequency is. It's continuously dipping down. And that's it. All right, now it's dipping up. I'm turning the range up here. We got to bring this down. So there is no dip, okay, on that range. And the reason there is no dip is because you don't have a capacitor across this. But we don't know what the capacitor is. According to this inductance meter here, it's 6.7 millihenries. That don't tell me anything. There's math formulas and stuff for all this. But I wanted to demonstrate this. And I will demonstrate that it does work. You're able to, this is an oscillator. It's set for oscillation now. So it will send a signal out to a radio because I've run out checking it works very well. But I never had, and I had a grid dip meter years ago, I never had any luck with finding the resonance of coils because you need a capacitor across it. So, what do we put for a capacitor? I don't know. um, let's try a capacitor across this. Let me find something. What would you put across this? I don't know. Maybe let's try a let's try a .01. I don't know. What do I know? All right. I don't know if it's making contact. It's wedged up into here. Wedged up into here. Let me put some weight on that. Some plastic or something just to keep it. Well, here, let's. We got to find something plastic here. All right. We got a plastic here. This is far enough away that it won't interfere with it. Holding down. I don't want to put clip leads on this because that's inductive, you know, and straight capacitance. So we don't want to do that. So let's see if we get, because we're guessing. We don't know what frequency this is going to resonate at. They have no idea. All right, but you do need a capacitor across the coil, or you're not going to find out. You're not going to get a dip if you don't. So let's, you know, the needle just keeps rising. Wait a minute now. Let's get this over in the center here so we can see the range here. Well, we got a dip there, not a sharp dip, but we got a dip. All right, let's see if that's a false reading or not. We'll move everything out of the way. Now we got a dip. Okay? See if I'm not going to touch anything but the dial here. And if we still get the dip, then it's a false dip, which is what I've been getting. No, it's a false dip. So first of all, you got to know the inductance and the capacity to go with it. If you don't do that, you're not going to do that. So that concludes this. That concludes it. There's no point in wasting any more time on this. Got a lot of coils. I don't know where I got these, but whatever. So you can't check the coil. It does not work in that way. And you also got to know what coil to use. All right, we got 100 megacycles here, okay? So, all right. So we are on, hang on. Okay, this is 37 to 100 megacycles, and the radio is set for 100 megacycles. So let me plug this coil in. All right, second scale from the top, it's close to 100 megacycles. The radio is silent. I'm going to have to lay this down. Can't operate it. You'll have to take my word for it. Hear it? Okay. There must be a harmonic there. Let's see what that is. That is 75. Okay, let's see what this one is. That is 50. Now, we take this radio and we move it. We got the antenna down. We move it way back over here. Still picking it up. So this is the fundamental. So it radiates out quite a bit. So when you look at the dial here and you look at the dial on your radio, this is calibrated right, and this is fairly close. You'll get a signal on your radio, and if your dial is right on the radio, you will see the same frequency. So it's good for that. Like I say, I have not been too successful in the years past. I've had one that used an acorn tube, as I said in one of my other videos. But it was an instrument that I never used very much because, to tell you the honest truth, that was way before internet and way before YouTube, of course. And, you know, even though there's a lot of how to use videos on YouTube for these things, I can't seem to get them to work the way these guys do. But that's nothing new with me. I'm a tinkerer. You got to remember that. So those of you who say that you learned a lot from me, don't go by my videos because you will learn the wrong thing from me. You don't want to do that. There are a lot of technicians, a lot of guys out there that are the ones you should be following, not me. So I'm a tinkerer. And when I get a piece of equipment, and I like to play around with it, I know the basics of how it works. A grid dip meter is an oscillator, and it radiates a signal. It's supposed to pick up a coil and a capacitor, but you've got to have both. You've got to have the capacitor, and the problem is, as I said before, you don't know, you got to know, I should say, the capacity that's going to be in parallel with the coil in the test. You have to know that ahead of time. So it kind of defeats using this, doesn't it? All right? You're not going to learn from me, I'll tell you. I know the basics. I know how to solder with piss poor eyesight. I know how to change components. And a lot of things I don't know. And it's part of me being honest. Okay? I wanted to give a video on how to use a grid dip meter. You're not going to get that from me. Okay? I think someone asked me to do that. I kept watching videos and everything else, but I can't duplicate those tests that those guys did. So, okay, so we know it'll radiate. Okay? Also, if you flip this into diode, which is the switch on the back here, if you switch it onto diode, and you put headphones in here, it'll act as a primitive radio receiver. I don't have headphones that will work in here. I'm not about to try it, but I'll take, that's what it's supposed to do. I do have the book on this, and I did read the book on it, but, with me, okay? Okay, I got the radio sitting way over here, with volume all the way up, sitting on 100 megacycles, okay? Happens to be on the FM band, but that's okay. 100 megacycles. We'll go back over here. We'll get you on macro. And I'll try to be as steady as I can. I'm left-handed, so I'm going to have to crisscross my arms here. All right, so looking at the second scale down, I hope you can see that. Take my word for it. Second, the fundamental, at this range, you should only hear, not the harmonics. So let's go to this. All right, you just hear the radio, quiet it down. All right, we're off on the frequency. Now we're going right on it. Hear it? Okay, we are right where my fingernail is. That's 100 megacycles. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing before. We're going to go down lower. We are going lower, I think. Yes. Go slow. Okay, You notice nothing kicked in. All right? In other words, the other harmonics did not come over because the fundamental signal is stronger. The other harmonics, they must be subharmonics. In other words, there was one at 50 megacycles, so that's half the frequency of the one we're tuned to on the radio. So let me bring that up to 50, which is roughly in here. Yeah, right there where my fingernail is. That's 50. I don't know if you can see that. Now we're going to bring the radio over. Now there's going to be a little variation, but you're going to hear a signal at 50. The radio's still tuned to 100. Hang on. The radio's still tuned to 100. We'll put the radio right over here. All right? Now we'll rock this frequency on either side of the 50. Hear it? That's pretty damn close. There's 50. I wish they could do something with this dial. This dial is rubbing up against this. I don't know if this originally had plastic behind it or not. The instructions, I got the assembly manual on this as well as the schematic. It doesn't show anything behind there to protect it. But I wanted to put a clear coat on it, but I'm not sure yet. You can still read it, but it's kind of like faded, yellow, you know. But anyways, it's very good for this kind of thing, to check your frequency. Like, let's say you got a vintage radio. Now, I know I'm right on this, okay? I'm good for something besides making a fool of myself. If you got a vintage radio that you don't know where the station is, but you think it's around, let's say you're looking for a station or you want to calibrate your dial, okay? And this thing is putting out what you want. Let's say, in this case, 100 megahertz or 100 megacycles. I'm the old school, okay? So you put this near your radio and you tune your radio until you get that signal, provided it's within the range, okay? And then you adjust your trimmers or whatever you have to do to get your dial on a frequency that'll match what this is putting out. So it's good for that. Now we're silent on the radio, okay? Full quieting at 50 megacycles, okay? But we're going to back off. Let me put this on regular here. We don't need it to be on macro. I'm going to back off to the other end of the shop here. Listen to the radio. Hear it dying out? You're still getting the signal, but it's very weak because it's not the fundamental. All right, let's bring it up to the fundamental. Dead silent, full quieting. Hear it? Okay, see where we're at? Okay, so I checked all the ranges on this, with the exception of the 2-meter handband, because I don't have my Bofang in the shop right now. Happens to be in the house. I don't know why. You can't hear anything anyways on it. But it will cover that frequency. So that's just an idea. Shut that off. Of what you can do with a grid dip meter. And I'm sorry, I apologize for the not knowing what the hell I'm doing. I honestly thought I was going to get dipping on these coils. It just don't happen. Because in order to get dipping on a coil, the coil has to have a capacitor across it. It has to. Otherwise, it can't resonate. A parallel resonance circuit is a capacitor and an inductor in parallel. Then you have your series resonance circuit where it is a capacitor in series with the coil. Okay? So that's a series resonance circuit, and then you got your parallel resonance circuit. But you need both. You need the capacitor and the coil. You can't dip a coil. Okay? I just proved that. Because this does work. Now, if I had a known capacitor and a known inductor that are matched properly, like let's say it dipped at 27 megacycles, if I had a combination capacitor and inductor that would resonate at 27 megacycles, I can prove then, but I would have to have a combination that I know will resonate at that frequency. Otherwise, you're blind. You're blind in the water. So that's it, folks. So you know I'm a tinkerer. Those of you who don't, so know that. So don't give me credit where I don't deserve it. All right. Thanks a lot for watching, and take care, everybody.